All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Premier Esports Academy web series. My name's Dan Himmelstein, founder and brain coach at Premier Esports Academy, and today we're going to be talking about part 6 of the Flow series. So if you haven't watched those first 5, make sure you do. They're full of a ton of action plans to help influence Flow. They're full of different side effects that are associated with the Flow experience, and really just general knowledge on what it takes to enter this state of flow and what it feels like to be in this state of flow. So today we're going to be talking about 2 byproducts of flow, much like we talked about last week, that sense of control. This week we're going to be talking about a loss of self-consciousness and a transformation of time. Now, before I get into the thick of it, I always want to mention this before. If you're trying to influence flow during a performance, that's actually going to hinder your ability to enter that flow state. So make sure that you're doing all this preparation beforehand. That way you can influence that state of flow. So flow, not only is it associated with an optimal experience, it's also associated with a freeing experience. And that has a lot to do with this piece of loss of self-consciousness. So, we all know it, we've all seen it. Our biggest impediment of success and the biggest critic that we have is most often ourself. So we have to be able to figure out a way to silence that voice in the back of our mind, to silence that criticism that wants to come out. That way we can just focus on that performance. So the loss of self-consciousness really comes because you don't have enough attention to focus on those different expectations, the worries that are outside of your performance, things of that nature, the negative thoughts even. So there's just no attention left over to really focus on that. So all of our focus, much like one of the past videos, is going to be on the task at hand. And due to that, we're really not worried about the way we look, the way others are perceiving us. It's really just all about the performance, and we're just dead set focused on whatever's going on. So, who's ever gotten in their own head, and who's ever just been like, I beat myself that game. And that's a really, really important factor, because that happens more often time, I'd like to say, than our opponents beating us, especially at the highest level. So make sure that while we're in our performance, we're just totally task focused. We're immersed in the task at hand. And we're just in control of our actions. When we're not thinking about all these other things, we could really just make the right moves consistently over and over and over and over again. At the highest level, there's a ton of sources of criticism, expectations, whether that's coming from the crowd, the media, the fans, coaches, teammates, and that's really going to hinder your ability to enter that flow state. So make sure, and I can't stress this enough, that you are training how to stay task focused, how to stay focused on what's going on in front of you, and not letting your mind wander or drift to past performances, future performances, outside life, whether that be fights with friends, family. Make sure that you're just totally engaged in that. It will just come naturally. You just won't have the attention is a very limited capacity. You won't have that attention to be able to spend it elsewhere. So really that's going to be the first element that we're going to talk about today, or the first byproduct of that flow experience. And that's going to be that loss of self-consciousness. We don't want to be worrying about our looks. We just really want to have the performance in mind. So the next byproduct that we're going to be talking about today is the transformation of time. And this is one of the key aspects and is reported throughout almost all experiences of flow. And I'm sure you've had this experience before, where time was a bit altered. You were just in the zone that it just didn't seem like time was flowing the way it naturally should. And this is experienced differently, not only throughout different performances, through different esports, through different sports. It's experienced differently almost for everyone. However, people have reported both time speeding up and time slowing down. So that's a really, really important factor. Now, what's going to play a role on whether you're feeling this speeding up of time or if you're feeling it slow down? So probability says that games in the FGC, they're often very quick, short rounds. So that is going to be, you're more likely to experience elongated time, where you have more time to make split second decisions, where you just feel like, it's almost everything's going in slow motion. You can analyze, prepare, and react within split seconds when, uh, these types of decisions would normally take a longer period of time. So that's going to be really beneficial for those guys who are playing these types of games, those quick burst games. Having that ability or having that feeling of just time being slowed down, where you just have all the time in the world to make these split second decisions, when in reality they really are split second decisions. Now, on the other hand, a game like League of Legends, which lasts much, much longer than FGC games, in terms of, on a round to round basis at the very least, League of Legends, you may experience, you might feel like the game lasted half the time that it actually did, even though on a moment to moment basis, whether it be team fights or whether it be throughout the different phases, even though that seems to be slowed down, overall the time frame of the game might seem sped up. So let me give you an example. During a team fight in League of Legends, you're just able to make all the right clicks, all the right movements, and you're just doing everything right. It feels like you have all the time in the world to make these decisions. However, the game feels like it lasted maybe 20 minutes at the conclusion of the game. So that's an example of that moment-to-moment time frame where it seems like everything is slowing down for you so that you're able to make those excellent decisions. But overall, the experience overall, when looked back on it, seems like it flew by just because things went so naturally. Things just went totally right. You were totally absorbed in the task at hand. Now, the transformation of time and the loss of self-consciousness, these can't happen without the preparation that we've talked about in the first few videos of this series. So really that's the bulk of the information today, but the majority of the information necessary to reach this stage is in those first 5 videos. So make sure you go check those out. This is the second to last episode of the Flow series. So we'll talk a little bit about what we're getting into next and some different directions there. Make sure you leave some comments in the feed. That way I know what you guys want. I want to know what you guys want to hear and what you guys would like me to talk about. So definitely make sure you become a part of the conversation. But for now, let's just focus on these. Let's make sure that we get this flow state down. Let's make sure that we can prepare for times in which we need to perform at our very best and that we really want to feel like we enjoyed the experience, we enjoyed the performance. That's going to be that state of flow that we need. So again, I always like to stress this in all of these videos. The more we try and influence flow during that very moment, during the performance, the less likely it is to happen, because our attention is drifting to, okay, well, how do I achieve this state of flow? How do I achieve this state of control, the sense of control that I need, like we mentioned in last week's video? The preparation really comes before the performance. So make sure you guys are keeping that in mind. So with that, I'm going to leave you there on a nice quick episode today. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. My handle is on the bottom right hand of your screen. It is at @dhims_esports. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way you know when fresh content comes out. And with that,